Architectural Builder's Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
And I need hinges for it. It's got to go around the outer casing molding on the inside of the door. I think what I'm looking for is a raised barrel hinge. I'm wondering what you might suggest. My door is going to be left-handed. I'd like to have a brass finish, and I'd like to be able to remove the pin. And a ball finish.
Well, if you know that you need a raised barrel hinge, what advice can I give you?
Which one would you suggest? Your website has a lot of them.
Well, I mean, it's true that there are different, 3 different variants of raised barrel, but they're variations on a raised barrel. It's just how the leaves are bent to accommodate either a surface, a mortise, or a double mortise application. But a raised barrel is a raised barrel is a raised barrel. It doesn't matter whether it's surface mounted or mortise to the edge of the door, or the rabbet of the frame.
It's getting mortise into the jamb. It's going to get mortise into the door. I wasn't sure which model of the hinges would be best to use. I didn't know if it was possible to get one that was brass and one that had a pin that was removable.
Well, sure. You can definitely order raised barrel in either a brass-based material or a steel-based material, and then it would be plated. And a pin that you can drive out, sure, that would be a standard feature.
Okay. Any particular number I want to look up for something like that?
Well, let's just grab this bull by the horn.
You have like 9 pages of them.
Oh, probably more than that. 9 from one manufacturer. But
I looked at the webpage and I was like, okay, which one do I want?
Yeah. How did you determine raised?
And your video was very helpful too.
Thank you. How did you determine raised barrel was the starting point?
I looked at offset hinges and realized that wasn't it. Then I typed it in and your video of raised barrels came up. And I went, that's what I think I need.
That you use a raised barrel hinge.
When it's going to be a mostly completely rebuilt install. The door was initially designed for the door to go flush with the inside casing. I want the door to be inset further in so that the strike and the strike is going to be hitting into not the casing like it did for the last 120 years, but actually into the jamb. So I want to push the door inset, but believe my casings and moldings the same place that they are now.
So inset is a good term to use, and raised barrel hinges are typically used when you have a deep inset. What is the inset dimension?
It's probably going to be 3/4 inch.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. What degree of opening do you want to achieve?
180 would be nice. That way I can get the refrigerator.
Okay, so raised barrel length is not going to work. So the hinge that you'll need to look at is a. Sorry.
Go ahead.
The hinge that you need to look at would be a wide throw.
Wide throw? Okay. How far will a raised barrel get me?
Not enough. I mean, not 100-degree opening. I'd have to put it in AutoCAD to know for sure, but nowhere near what you're looking for.
All right. And when I go to pick a wide throw hinge, What dimensions do I need to care about? Need to pay attention to?
Sure. So let's run the formula. How thick is the door?
Inch and 7/8. Inch and 3/4. Inch and 3/4. Excuse me.
Is the door already mortised?
Door is not built yet. We're getting all our parts together.
That's all right. So 1 3/4 thick door. Now, so you said the inset was 3/4. What is the thickness of the casing measured from the face of the jamb out? How thick is that material that's there?
My casing is all right. My casing is 3/4 of an inch.
Okay, so pretty typical.
And I want my door to be. But I want my door to sit in from the casing, and yeah.
Swing 180. Okay. So, are there any plinth blocks, or is there any chair rail? Is there anything else that's going to get in the way?
Nope.
Okay. So, how wide is the door?
It's a 3/7 door.
3'7"?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How tall is the door?
Oh, it's 3 foot wide, 7 feet tall.
Oh, okay, a 307. I understand. How heavy is the door?
I'm not sure yet. It hasn't been built yet.
Oh,
it's going to be. It's going to be like 200 pounds.
Okay, so you don't need a wide throw hinge based on the formula. I would suggest you use a. What finish do you want?
Brass.
Oh yeah, forgive me, you said that. All right, so what you want the ideal hinge would be here's your part number, 4B21. So 4 Bravo 21. 5" by 4.5" 605. So if you tell me your email, I'll send you a link to it.
Jerome Bias.
Hold on 1 second. Before you give me your email, let's dissect how I got to this 5 by 4.5. So according to the formula, which is, I'm sorry, so according to the formula, it's door thickness minus the hinge back set times 2. So that's going to be 1.75 minus 1/4 inch times 2 is 3 inch. Plus your 3/4 inset brings us to 3 3/4. Plus your 3/4 casing thickness brings us to 4.5. So without any plinth blocks or chair rail, or I also should have said projection of lever trim or knob trim you might need to account for. And you may not need to get to a true 180. You might say, 170 is good enough. So that's the formula. Door thickness. Yeah. So door thickness minus back set times 2 plus inset plus casing. That brings me to 4.5 inch. And that's just a typical hinge. Because your door is possibly going to be on the heavy side, I would recommend a 5-inch tall hinge and in a heavyweight thickness, so the hinge is 190 thousandths thick. And that part number then becomes a 5 by 4.5 inch hinge. You could go with a 5 by 5, but the formula doesn't justify using a hinge that sticks out further, and you want to keep that knuckle as close tucked in as possible. At least that's best practice. If it was a lighter door, I would suggest just a 4.5 inch tall hinge. And if it's extremely low volume, you could use a standard weight hinge at that point as well. But if you want to do it, it's not, right. It's not going to kill you to have a thicker hinge and a slightly taller hinge, because that 5-inch, going to 5-inch from 4.5-inch in the height gives you another 22% efficiency. So it's easy money.
Do I need to worry about ball bearings?
Oh, of course. Do you need to worry about them? No. Will the hinge be ball bearing? Absolutely.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
That's the one wouldn't use the plain one? Okay. All right. And with a full
Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program. Okay, after running the formula for our client, we need to sit and think about this, and let's make sure that the hinge that we've suggested is correct, because I'm quite convinced that it's not. So from what I could gather, he's got some trim, he's got a jamb, and then his door is going to be in here. And at this dimension was 3/4. And that dimension was 3/4. Okay. So we've got 1.5 inches right there. We know that we're going to have another 1.5 inches because the door was 1 3/4, and we're going to have a 1/4 inch. We're going to have a 1/4 inch back set. Okay. So that's going to be 1.5 inches. So we're going to need the swag line to be not less than 3 inch. Not less. Which means he's really going to need a 7-inch wide hinge. And let's take a look at that, how I'm getting that that dimension. Bear with me. I would like to pull something up here. Okay, so we know how we're arriving at that, but let's take a closer look. 5010 407-632. No, 5010-507. I don't think there is a 507. Yeah, there is. Ooh la la. Okay, so cut sheet. Yeah, so the A dimension we know has to be at least 6 inch. Pardon me, 3 inch. The A dimension on a 5x7 is 3 1/8. So he has to have a 7-inch wide hinge. Must. No choice. So that's the correct dimension. 5 inches not even close. I was really focused on the concept that this casing would be held back, because if it was, the barrel of the hinge could sit right in here. You know, because the trim would be held back. In this case, it's not, according to what he said. So it's really, the inset becomes 1.5 inches is really what it becomes. So his idea of a raised barrel hinge was where the knuckle would come out like this. This is highly exaggerated, so where the knuckle, this, is moved off of the jamb. The problem with that is, in your mind's eye, think about this door cycling open. It's going to get to about here and then stop. So 110 degree maybe, whatever. He wants to get out and around. So the problem's going to be is the knuckle of his hinge absolutely must be tucked back out further. So where that's going to put us here is that 3 1/8, if you recall. He's going to have to mortise all of this. He's going to have to mortise all of that for his barrel just to sit here. Then that other leaf is going to come down, 3 1/8. That means this is going to be out at 3 1/2 inch from the back set, and that means he's going to have a much greater throw of the door. It will get way out here. Okay, you'll have a lot more clearance here. You know, had the trim been held back, he could have used that 5-inch hinge, but because the trim's not held back, so 7 inch is the answer. Thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.